Welcome to Mentorship Monday with Michelle and Maren. I don't know why I did that, but hi, Maren.
Hello, beautiful Michelle. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I
Did you have a
turned,
good birthday?
I did. I turned 29. Okay.
Love it.
39. Come on.
Love
39
it.
I turned.
Love
Yeah.
it.
I'm feeling younger every year. I made a post. I had so many amazing birthday messages, and I just I was just amazed at all the beautiful messages that I got. And so I posted thank you the next morning, and I was thinking to myself how this year feels so different, and I don't know how to explain it other than to say this year has brought me even more change of perspective. I feel like I think we talked about this in one of our sessions too before, but I feel like I'm going through another awakening, right?
Yeah.
And it has its stages and processes, but it feels so new, and there's new challenges with that. There's um new feelings and experiences, and when I looked at my birthday and really thought about it, I really had this moment of I get to have a birthday. I get to have a birthday. I get to get older. How lucky is that? How wonderful is that? I get to wake up. I get to have a shower. I get to have a hot shower. I get to be in my comfortable home. I get to do what I love. Like I just sat there and thought to myself how amazing it is that I'm me. And
Oh,
I don't think I've ever felt that with so much. Um, Eric's just saying that's when we release a lot of things, we can feel ourselves. We can feel ourselves more. And that to me feels like a real gift for some of the hard times. It's just like that's what the work we keep working on ourselves. We have these moments of just gratitude and just
mm-hmm.
being okay with being me and being okay with imperfect me, being okay with everything where it's at, and just really grateful. I want to show you. I had somebody, my soul star sister, Nicole, said
Oh,
something really
yeah.
cool. I gotta show this. Okay.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
the cutest thing ever. She sent this for my birthday. Okay. Look at this it's green
Okay.
aventurine, little
Okay.
alien.
So on my screen, you're really blurry right now, so I
Oh,
can't see like the details of
oh,
it. But is that a crystal? Is it a green
it is. It
aventurine
is. It's a
crystal?
little
Oh my.
alien face crystal.
Oh, okay. I can't see
Yes.
yes, now I can. Oh, now I can. It's kind of funny. It looked like a lizard at first for me, but now I see the
Isn't it
alien
cute?
face. Yes. Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
And then Malachite. Now, and Nicole doesn't know this, but I am an owl collector. I have a guide that is an owl. I have been drawn to owls since I was a little girl. When I was 3 years old, I had a little necklace with an owl on it, and I still have the pendant from it. But so this little malachite owl, you can see him.
Oh my gosh. Now they can be
Isn't he cute?
together.
I know.
Yes.
It's so cute. And check this out.
Oh
Do
my
you see
gosh, it's
that?
all so blurry. I
It's
don't
all that.
know.
Oh, it sucks. This blurry.
Looks
Okay,
like
so
gumballs to me.
yeah, well, it is a like a little pyramid on top. It's a wand, and it's got all the chakras. So like root, sacral, solar
That is
plexus,
so
heart,
cool. I've
throat,
never
third
seen
eye, and
anything
crown.
like that.
Yeah. So I use a selenite wand when I'm doing my energy and Reiki healings. I don't know where to put it right now. It must be upstairs. But I started to use this with my healings this weekend too. So it's been really cool. So it was a great weekend. It's great. Very good.
That's Awesome. And I love the message that you said to yourself, like be okay with where you are. That was my Instagram post this week. So interesting. I was listening to a podcast and it's like a 2.5 hour podcast. So it's like I listen
Yeah.
to 10 minutes here, 20
Yeah.
minutes there, whatever. And I went for a walk and so I was going to put my podcast on and I did. And the host said that exact same thing. Like he was like, we need to be, um, I even have like the exact quote, like we need to be comfortable with where we are, just like allow yourself to be happy with like exactly where you are right now.
Hmm.
And give yourself permission to allow this moment to be exactly as it is and allow yourself to be exactly as you are. And then I started hearing like spirit come through and I was like, oh, I need to like turn this off. And this just needs to be like a meditation, walk, run, like I'm going to turn this podcast off. So I turn the podcast off. I turn on my Insight Timer app. So just get some like meditation music going.
Yeah.
And that was the quote of the day. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just heard this quote twice in like, 30 seconds. This is definitely meant for me. And then you're saying it.
Yeah.
So that is the
Yeah.
lesson of the week. Just allow yourself to be where you are right now. And
Yes.
and that's what I've been working on. So
Yes. Being exactly where we are, and really, the big thing is that I've really felt lately is that message of everything truly is happening for you.
right.
And I say that because, you know, our cycles in life do not discount challenge. It does not matter at what stage of healing or like life is life. So you're going to have that flow and that, woo, I'm really going in that rest and hibernation and challenge and processing. You're going to have that continuously. It's not going to stop.
Mhm. Mhm.
But when you keep going on that, choosing that no matter what it is that's going on is helping, is going to help me get to whatever I need to do, help me feel what I need to feel, help me release what I need to release, help me work on communication, on relationships, on whatever it is, by surrendering to not trying to control the outcome, and really allowing what happens to happen for you. The
Mhm.
synchronicities just really start to pop out to really help us. And I felt that so much, and I'm grateful because it has, as we've talked many times, it has been a pretty rough little patch that we've had, but there's been so many juicy lessons in all of it, like so many just little nuggets of gold that have come
Can
out.
I tell you can I tell you like a little synchronicity that just happened that I was going to wait to tell
Yeah.
you afterwards? But now you're like,
Yeah.
look for the synchronicities. So I'm like, okay, I have
Yeah.
to tell you. I was before we got on, I was telling Michelle about a reading, and I was kind of talking about how the messages just they seemed like they were my own ideas, and I was like, how do I know when they're my own ideas or they're from spirit? And Michelle was kind of giving me a little lesson. But the main message for that reading was exactly what you just said, was to wake up and just say, I am here. I am here. And I kept hearing, I am here. I am here over and over again. I was like, just say, I am here. And it's so funny that you just said that. I was like, okay, that was validation, that was spirit and that was not me. And so that was really cool. So I just had to tell you
Well,
that.
in I I had somebody ask me the other day that they understood the concepts of what was being taught to them, that they understood, they're being told what to do. They just said they didn't have they didn't have, like, they just couldn't commit to doing the work. They didn't want to do the work, and they couldn't understand why. They're like, I want the outcomes. I want my life to get better. I want improvement. I want to feel better. I don't want to be going through emotional turmoil. I want to feel better, but I don't understand how I can do the work when I don't really feel like doing it. And
Hmm.
what Spirit said was, well, first of all, you're making it work, right? We have to have a reason. So I go right back to with my son with autism. He's not going to do anything that he doesn't feel there's a purpose to it. So we could tell him, say thank you, say goodbye to your grandparents, say, but for him, it's kind of just like, why? Like I've already had my interaction with them. I'm doing something different. Why do I need to go back and do this? So like, there's something to be learned from that. Because if we don't have that need being filled, because if we think about when we do things like habits and we're in this habitual, like, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing this? Why can't I stop? Well, it's filled the need at one time. That's why you can't look at yourself at any state of your life and say, I shouldn't have done that. Like, sure, we've made choices that have given us different outcomes that maybe we didn't have to experience. But if you look at why did I keep repeating doing something, well, there was a need being filled. Like for me, for example, when I was chronically sick all the time, I had an underlying fear in my subconscious, or an underlying belief rather, that I wasn't able to complete things, that I wasn't good enough or smart enough to do something that I thought was of worth. So I had taken almost a badge with being sick as my reason for not doing certain things. No, I'm sick. I can't do that. I don't feel well. So a part of me, and this is where that struggle was coming internally, because a part of me was consistently saying in the subconscious, so this is what was manifesting, was I'm comfortable staying sick because it's keeping me safe. So that is the message that I was giving to the universe. Please give me more sickness because it's giving me an excuse not to do what I want to do. So it was me conflicting with myself, not really anything from the outside. That was just all added pieces, but it was me. And now if I can get back to the point of why I originally said this, but, oh, right. The reason why it's so important for us to look at the whys we do things, and for this particular person, why don't I want to do the work? What is the work? And what I shared with her that day was there were days where the work was just saying, I'm deserving. I'm deserving. And repeating that inside my head over and over and over, just like you said, I'm here. I'm here. There would be days saying, I'm abundant. I'm worthy. My opinion matters. And I would repeat that with every step I'd walk up the stairs, with every step I'd go down the stairs, to distract my mind from going to beating myself up for saying,
Yeah.
why can't you do this? Why aren't you good enough? Why can everybody else function normally and you can't? Why are you so lazy? Why are you so tired? And these are all these internal voices that were coming up in my head, but I was presenting something very different. But it was the internal, the subconscious, that internal voice that was creating my reality, creating all the problems for me, or bigger issues that I didn't need to necessarily go through. But it was also those very same issues that taught me different. But having those, Eric's just saying to me, it's taking control of our inner self. It's taking control of what we have in every moment, accepting where we're at. We have the power to choose which direction we would like to go with our thoughts. And when we have been on the wagon wheel of beating ourselves up, or the wagon wheel of disappointment, frustration, it's not that easy to just start telling ourselves things. It's not that easy just to say, you're good, you're deserving, when you're feeling like the worst human being in the world. So you have to remember that it is okay to be where you're at, and you have to start somewhere with speaking differently to yourself. You have to make that choice. And then when you make the choice, your job is to have follow through. And so follow through might mean I'm in charge of my internal voice. And so my only job is to catch myself and to ask, am I speaking positive to myself or negative? What's my choice going to be? And reframing that thought. Because when we do that over and over and over, we're creating new neural pathways in our brain. We're creating a whole new system. And every 7 years, we are a whole brand new person. Our cells, everything. We are completely new. So I know that I'm no longer the version of myself that I used to be. And I know there's been many versions that I used to be. But it's so interesting when we start to deconstruct ourselves and start to deconstruct all the whys. And if anyone could take anything away from what I'm saying, is that little thing that you think, what's the work? Just like this girl said, what is the work? What exactly can I do? How can I bridge myself to want to do better for myself when I'm so used to not doing for myself? When I'm so used to not giving to myself? Well, what can I do? Oh, just bring it real simple. The work is changing the way you speak to yourself. And why is it important? Make sure you go to the why. Because your inner dialogue, your subconscious is listening at all times. And you, and only me, only any of us has the power to change that inner dialogue. We are the only ones that do. Nobody on the outside of us has that power. So
Can I
if
tell you a cool
we,
story?
yes, please do.
Has to do with this. So this is
Yeah.
an update to my little service puppy waking me up in the morning because I have a hard
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Like I just I can wake up at 6:30 or later, no problem. But to wake up before 6:30 is like very difficult for me, and that's the time that it takes for that, like 6:30 I'm up and I can make it, get ready for work, get the kids ready, everything. But to be awake before 6:30 would be like the me time, you know what I mean? And so that is really easy to just like get the alarm, snooze it, be like, I don't need this time. I'm too tired. I need more rest. Those are all the things that would be in my mind when
Yeah.
the alarm would go off before
Right.
6:30. And, and, my husband was talking to me and he was like, because I was just frustrated one day. I'm like, I have no time for myself from the time that I get up to that, and then I go to work and then I come home and it's homework and sports and dinner and cleanup and bedtime and then I'm going to bed. And there's no time for me to like do me. And so he was like, you just need to get up earlier. And I've got my little puppy and he helped me a few times. But I don't know, it's like getting darker out and he's like loving the cuddles. And now my alarm clock goes off and he just like wants to snuggle more. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? You're my service dog. You were my he's quit.
Now he's like, do it yourself. Job's over.
He- yeah, yeah. He's like, no, I'd rather cuddle. So anyway, so I was talking to my husband and he's like, you need to use affirmations. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, when your alarm clock goes off, you need to tell yourself, I am good at getting up. I can get up. Like you need, and I was like, what? And he was like, why am I having to tell you this? You're the person that teaches this. And he's like, when I am in my job, when I like, have conflict in my job, I'm always like, I can handle this conflict. Da 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 da, and like listed like 10 examples where like in the moment he'll tell himself an affirmation. And I was like, oh my God, I don't do that. I like will sit there and I'll journal and I'll write affirmations or I'll go on a walk and think about like what needs to change in my life. And I'll say affirmations at that moment. But in the moment of need, I'm not using the affirmation. And I
Hmm.
was like, oh my God, like, why am I not doing that?
Yeah.
And, and it's so funny. I don't know if I just said this, but he was like, do you know where I learned that? I learned it from you. Like, why am I telling you this? And I'm like, oh my God. So awesome. I'm glad I could help him. But anyways, so then the next day and thereafter, my alarm clock has gone off early. And I hear it and I go, I can get up. I can get up early. And like I am what it like we decided on like I am good at getting up when my alarm clock goes off or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
so I say something to that effect. And it is so weird because it's almost impossible to keep laying down when I have just told myself that I'm good at this. It's like my body is like, why would I lay down? I'm good at this. Why don't I just get up? Like it's
Right.
so weird and it works so
Right.
well.
Yes, it
So
does.
I felt like you in those moments. It's like when you've got that negative self-talk and I didn't even realize I was telling myself, well, I'd rather just sleep or like, meditating in the morning is really not that important or like the things that would run through my mind, because I
Hmm.
didn't want to get out of bed. And but then when you use that affirmation in the moment at that, specific
Yeah.
time that you need it when you're giving yourself an excuse or a negative talk, it is
Yeah.
so powerful.
Yeah.
So I'm just, I don't know why I never made that.
It's
I'm
the
sure I do in other, like he was like, why have you never done that? I'm like, I don't know. I just never thought about using affirmations with waking up in the morning. I use it
yeah.
like I'm confident, I'm strong, but I never thought, I don't know. So anyways, super cool
It's
story.
so
It's working
interesting.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I highly recommend it.
that's really good. It's
Hmm.
it's interesting when you start to change the patterns of your words, because a lot of times when you do it, certain things will just slip in. Like, I was terrible at taking vitamins. I'd load
Yeah.
up on all these different vitamins and then I would just forget to take them. And for the longest time, I'd beat myself up over it. And then I had a couple sicknesses where, a couple years back, I would get really sick with like a cold or something. And I thought, I know that the vitamin C is, I take a night really good vitamin C. That's the one thing I always do take. And I just started to say to myself, I take my vitamins when I'm getting breakfast in the morning. It's as simple as that, as just saying that. I take my vitamins when I have breakfast. When I take my vitamins, I don't get sick, you know, and I don't get it. I don't go through the same things that I used to. It's been a long
Yay.
time. Not that colds and stuff don't happen in our house, but it's been a long time. Like, I went through like quite a while where I was getting colds and sicknesses a lot. And I mean, even before I was doing this work, I was like, so it's very different. It's a totally different life, not living ill.
That's
Totally
awesome.
different.
I'm so
Yeah.
happy for you.
Affirmations are good. They're good and they work in the moment, and we have so much power over them. And if anyone is ever in a moment where they don't know what to say and they're feeling overwhelmed, all you need to say is, I am what I am, and that is enough. And
I
just
am
repeat
what I
that.
am, and
I
that is
am what I
enough.
am, and that is enough. And just sit and repeat that and hold your hand over your heart. And it's a really good to sit there and breathe and keep repeating that, and you'll start to slow everything down to where you can think. It works wonderfully.
I love it. That kind of has to do with like accepting yourself where you are too, you know?
Yeah, it does.
That's cool.
It does. I mean, that's, we always say, no matter what, you have to have a starting point. You have to accept where
Hmm.
you're at. You have to, if you're mending a relationship, you have to accept that the relationship is in a state of needing repair before you can start to build and rebuild. So the relationship with self is often the relationship that many go without looking at or really seeing the value in. But
Hmm.
acknowledging the relationship that you have with yourself, the acceptance of where you are right now, and being okay if you don't feel that you're in a place where you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. That's okay. It's okay. You have to start where you're at. Can you look at yourself in the eyes in the mirror? Can you say, I like you? Can you say, hey, you've got not a bad nose? Hey, I think you're a pretty nice person. Like, try that. Look in the mirror and see, what can you say to yourself? because it'll give you a really good idea of where you're at inside. So, well, were we gonna mention something about discernment today, or will
We
we?
were. I'm wondering too, I don't know, when we're talking about affirmations,
Mm,
I've heard about the like subliminal tapes that you can do, where like you
mm-hmm,
record yourself and then you can like play it. We should
mm-hmm.
figure out how to do that and do like a how-to video so that people
Yeah.
can like play those affirmations over and over again, because I know like sometimes when something is so far off from what you're feeling, it's really hard. You'll say it, but you don't believe it. You know what I mean? And it's
Mm-hmm,
so
mm-hmm,
hard to
mm-hmm.
um, believe what you're saying at first. And I do really feel like those subliminal messages can um, be really powerful.
That's a good idea. Good idea.
Are you writing that down for a note?
Noted. On the list of things to do.
Awesome. All right.
So,
Um, so yes, discernment. We've got a lot going on in the news, and
mm,
especially in America with the elections. And I know it's really a
mm-hmm,
world election, and a lot of people are hearing across the world with our elections.
mm-hmm,
And I am finding it so hard and so frustrating to find the truth, right? Like this news organization is saying this news organization is saying that. I know the truth lies somewhere in the middle, and finding that truth point has been very difficult. And I've been really
mm-hmm,
frustrated. Like, why does it have to be a part-time job to find for an American to find the actual truth? Like it is just so much he said, she said. And
mm-hmm,
and if you do only go one way or the other way, I mean, they're both just as equally as bad. If you do go one way or the other way, it can take you down a spiral of like negative energy, because you're like, how could that
mm-hmm,
side actually believe this, or this is such a bad situation, or like
mm-hmm,
it just spirals you in such a negative
mm-hmm,
direction,
mm-hmm,
um, that like I think that discernment, like how can we safeguard our energy? How can we um, practice discernment with
mm-hmm,
the news? Did you know this is actually a true statistic? I can't remember where I found this. What like there's a psychologist or psychiatrist that put out this information. It actually decreases your lifespan. Like flossing gives you 8 years, and exercising gives you so many years, and
mm-hmm,
whatever,
mm-hmm,
and eating processed foods takes away years and whatnot.
mm-hmm,
Watching the news takes off from your life expectancy.
mm-hmm.
That's how
I believe
negative it
that.
is.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I like have always felt that, and I've always like kind of steer clear from the news. But to like hear that actual statistic, I was like, finally, there is proof to what I was feeling. Um, Unbelievable. So yeah, let's talk about that. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's good. No, I think
Okay.
that is a good I knew we were going to go in that direction somewhat today, so I think that's good that we do talk about that. Because not only
Mm-hmm.
with politics, but I'm sure everybody's aware of a lot of what goes on in pop culture and that too,
Oh,
and what's, you know, with the Diddy and all of that stuff that's going on. It's
yeah.
pretty much plastered everywhere, right? Or
Yeah.
people are talking about it and stuff too. So the thing is, especially with politics, with information that comes out, we have to remember that I'm going to talk in two perspectives because the world is a kaleidoscope of perspectives, like a kaleidoscope of them. And everybody has different perspectives because of, where they're from, how they're raised, the family beliefs, cultural beliefs, systems, society, community, all of these different things, and then personal experiences. Do they view the lens through the mind, through fear, through trauma, through, right? All of these things are existing. The spiritual perspective, or we'll say kind of the higher perspective of it, is there really is no one side or the other side that's right. Because when it comes to the truth of, and I'm speaking mostly in politics here, the truth of what's happening, or is it this side or is it that side? Well, the truth is it's about peace. It's about the unity, right? It's picking sides is dividing. And so the whole energy that we're moving closer and closer to as a collective is unity, is coming together. So, the sense of division, we have to be mindful of this when you're looking at anything. And if you choose to follow politics and you want to go down that rabbit hole, and, whatever your belief is with that, that's fine. That's your belief. But what you want to do is neutralize the energy. And so neutralizing it is kind of the discernment of what I'm watching, what is it feeding? Because there's a lot of drama that gets thrown in it, right? So we go in different news sites. Like, you have to know too, there's news that is being maybe supported by a certain party, or this news channel might have a little more, like, there's a lot of things that happen behind closed doors where there's investments and things that are coming from different political groups, and we don't necessarily see all of that sort of thing. So we have to kind of keep that in the back of our mind, because your own discernment is very valuable. So that's why knowing yourself and knowing where you're at and kind of understanding where your beliefs are important when you're viewing or listening to anything, because it may not sit right with you. Well, why doesn't it sit right with you? So you want to listen with an open mind, but be very careful the rabbit holes that you go down, because unfortunately, a lot of this stuff has a lot of propaganda around it, a lot of drama around it, and can have a lot of toxicity, because it ends up being an outlet for many individuals to project their anger, their frustration, feelings of loss, or, particularly what many people are going through right now, which is loss of jobs and not being able to, feed their families, not being able to afford groceries. There's a lot of those things that are going on. So if you've already got a situation that you're working through and go down the rabbit hole of, say some toxicity or some negativity, it's not going to bring your vibration up and help you in any way. It's only just going to pull you down. Two negatives do not make positive, So the best thing to do is to get yourself informed. If you feel you want to have some information, is be informed and really look for the truth lying in who has interest in peace and who is speaking. What does that person do in their own life? Not just what they're saying and what they're representing, not just all the colors in the conversation, the talk, but what's happening behind closed doors. Like, what are you observing in their life, or what they do from day to day? How do they present themselves? That's the kind of stuff that will help you have discernment of, where truth falls.
Mhm.
Because a person doesn't just change. Those things, the more we are in tune with our own intuition as well, we will see or feel that energy come through when we're observing anything or being part of anything. Same goes for news channels. If you're watching a news channel that tends to really drum up, like, we'll say, like, there are some news channels that are like National Enquirer, where they just kind of drum up the controversy. So is that really going to do any good for anybody? Or is it just feeding an interest? Because there's that little feed of drama that allows many people to detach from their lives, because it helps. If I focus into this, it takes me away from all of it.
It's so interesting because, they say like fear sells, drama sells. So how much fear can
Mm-hmm.
I instill into the listener so that they'll keep
Mm-hmm.
listening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like to like excite them, right? Provoke them into like either clicking on my video, if it's on Instagram, or staying on the channel of the TV. And I mean, I think everybody knows by now, like that's kind of like the marketing pattern that they do is to go after fear. And that's why, like, I don't know, there's been like data on like the nightly news, you know, or any news. It's, I remember we don't ever watch the news, but we were very intrigued about we really wanted to know what was happening with this hurricane. It was just massive,
Yes.
and it
Yeah.
affected, you know, half of the country's weather
Yeah.
patterns, because it was
Yeah.
so big. And so we turned on the news one morning just to just see like the weather segment. And I was like, well, I had to learn about, like, you know, one murder, one break-in, you know. Like there was like three negative news stories that were awful before it finally got to the news, you know. It's just almost like
Yeah.
comical. But
Yeah.
anyways, it's like you once you know that and you know that that's what they're looking for, I think, you know, you can kind of maybe sort out like, okay, well, maybe it's not really that bad. Maybe they're trying to incite me or people to, you know, see what's going on. I will click on, this is probably bad. This is probably what we're telling people not to do, but I'll click on like an article and actually no, this helps me with discernment. So I'll click on an article and it's like, you know, this is horrible, or they said this, or this happened, you know, and I'm like, is that really true? So then I'll like read the comments, and a lot of comments are really hateful and they're not, but then it's like someone's comments will like, or several people will like post the opposing side's view. So then it's like I feel like I kind of get like, okay, both sides. So I like to read the comments to see if anyone's like, you know, offering an opposing
Yeah.
view. And then I'll be like, well, is that
Yeah.
really true? And then I'll look up something, and then I'll look up something, and so I'm going down the wormhole. That's my
Yeah. Well, everybody's got a
great
little
advice.
process, right? You can have a
Everybody
process
has
of
a little
understanding things.
process. Yes.
Everybody has a little process. You know, you just want to be mindful of, does that process take me down to a place where then when I closed my tablet or I closed my phone or computer or whatever, am I taking that energy and moving with it? Because
Well,
um
honestly, like,
mhm,
let's be real, like 30 minutes later, right after I've read the comments and then I've checked the next news source to see if it was alike, and then the other news source, and like I'm trying to find of this one thing that someone said, right? And I'm trying to figure
mhm,
out 30 minutes have gone by. And you have to think, right? The one thing that we are limited with on this earth is time. And I just spent 30 minutes of my life fact checking a really silly comment that, like, is not reality. Reality is my life, my children, my job. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
the others is just to
Well,
excite,
yeah.
inflame.
It's but you've got the awareness of that too. So, you know, we're not, when I say this too, like, we're not perfect. We're not gonna follow this, like, I'm never ever going to look at the news, or I'm never going to. But you're right in saying, well, wait a minute, my discernment is like, what am I looking at? Why am I looking at it? And am I doom scrolling? Am I doom scrolling, or am I looking at something that really doesn't have any significance? And there's often a reason behind that, right? So sometimes just our need to feel right, our need to feel vindicated in what we believe, is
Mm-hmm.
often why we do certain things like that. Like, I want to see what everybody's saying because this is how I feel. I want to see, is that how other people feel? Because if other people feel that, then okay, then I'm right. And that
Mm-hmm.
goes back to our ability to be able to discern for ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because think of all these people in the world, like Tesla, like Albert Einstein, all of these greats in the world whose opinions, beliefs, and behaviors were very off the cusp to the group,
That is
right?
true.
So who's to say any one of us is not? Tesla, Albert Einstein, any of these individuals, are you going to give yourself, if you feel something and you're not too sure, but you feel it, well, you can get convinced of many things if you go down a certain point. But if you just want to feel settled to be right, really think about that. But because you might see, well, yeah, okay, everybody else thinks that. Or you might be like, well, I guess I'm wrong. I feel this way and everybody else feels this way, so I must be wrong.
Mhm.
Well, what if you're not? What if that is? Or what if you are seeing it from a perspective that is very helpful that just nobody else has seen yet? So don't
Mhm.
discount what you feel or what you believe. Don't
Mhm.
compare or need to be the same as. And again, I will bring it back to know yourself. Examine your beliefs. Examine why you do what you do. Know yourself. Make it your job to know why you tick and how you work so that you can best function in the world. So you can discern. Because that is truly how you're able to discern and practice discernment, is by knowing yourself and knowing where you're at. Because that discernment will come easier and you'll be able to firmly say, well, I'm not sure why I'm in that direction. Maybe I don't have the information to know why I believe it, but this is what I believe. This is where my feelings are. And that might look very wrong to a lot of people.
Um, I know earlier at the very beginning you said we're getting close to unity. Um, and I
We're
wonder
moving
if
in that
it's
direction.
we're moving in that direction. Okay, good. We're not close, but we're moving in that direction. And I wonder if it's, my husband just last night disabled his TikTok. And he said the final straw was that he got on to check for this, or his brother sent him a message via TikTok. So he got the notification, you have a message via TikTok. So he got on TikTok and to check the message, and he checked the message and he goes, and then I just found myself watching these two guys fight. And because
Mm,
that was like the next thing on his feed was like, some fight. And he was like, and I was like, I don't want to spend my time watching these two strangers have a fight. You know what I mean?
mhm,
It's like, it's
mhm,
such a waste of my energy. So then he was like, so that's it. I just deleted it because
mhm,
I'm just sick of like seeing like violence on my feed
mhm, mhm,
I was listening to this podcast about this guy that's he like his specialty is AI algorithms, and like he's an
mhm.
AI expert, and he said that it's the um it's the AI algorithms, right? The AI algorithms are set to get the most views. That's what AI has. It's like it set out a goal and it doesn't care how it accomplishes that goal. And so the algorithms are set to the more views a video has, the more it gets circulated
Doesn't
and
matter what
whatnot. And
it
that's,
is.
yeah. And that's, like what makes something viral, right?
Mhm,
And he said, but it doesn't care like what the substance is that it's generating and spreading. It's just that does it get a lot of views? And
mhm,
we know as humans that what gets a lot of views from us is something that elicits a visceral response. And things that elicit a visceral response are all the fear-based things, right? Because that's what
yeah,
strikes up our fight or flight, and that's what makes us
right,
click. So
right.
all the negativity is getting spread via AI, all the fighting and the fights and the he said, she said, the worst, lie you can make about something, the more it's going to spread because that elicits that visceral response from us. And so
Right.
he's saying he's trying to work with legislation to make it's not that the individual person that posts it should be punished for what they're saying, that it should
Mhm,
be the makers of the algorithm for not monitoring what is getting spread, and that they
mhm,
need to realign their algorithms, right? Right now they're just all profit, like views, 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 and it
mhm,
really needs to be more aligned with what the truth is. And so I
mhm.
just thought that that was like very interesting about how,
Yeah.
it's really truly like all fear-based things
Yeah.
that make us click. And so when you
Yeah.
say we're getting close to unity, I'm like, well, I think about my husband and how like literally the last straw was yesterday. And so maybe it just needs to get to this like negative enough point where we say enough is enough,
Well,
and
yeah.
we disconnect our users and they start losing customers and business and whatnot, and then they realign their algorithms.
That's
I don't
right.
know. So, long
And
side note,
that's
but
but no, but that's a really good a good little piece of information there. And what he did, like you think about the algorithm, there's an algorithm in everything, right? And
yeah,
all these different, from politics to the music industry, we'll say Hollywood in general, different countries in the world that are at war, and all of the things that we're seeing. And some might say, well, how could that be getting towards unity consciousness? Look at what's happening. But it is breaking apart these systems that have
yeah,
been running, these heavier systems. And
yeah.
so one person deleting, one person changing, one person, that's why you can never discount the power of what one person can do, but what one
Mm-hmm.
decision can do, because we're all responsible for that ourselves, to make those
Mm-hmm.
choices ourselves. And we have to choose to see unity in our own lives. So what he did was he took that in his own hands, his own life, and made that decision. And that's got a domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
We're having this conversation right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a domino effect. And that's really what's happening. It's like having all these strings pulling all over the place for the system to break down. And it has
Mm-hmm.
been breaking down. And if we choose to see where the growth is, we will see that. But when you have been on the wheel of, we'll say that algorithm in life that shows you the drama and the toxicity, if you are on that wheel, that's what you're going to see. And you're going to be fed examples of it. You are going to see that. But when you practice the opposite direction, which takes consistent, back into what we were talking about before, the consistent choice to keep looking for those things, your For You page of life is going to change. Your For You page of life is going to start showing you things that match where the attention is going. So you're going to see a lighter experience. You're going to see those systems coming together. You're going to see more unity.
Yeah,
Patterns are fascinating to me.
yeah. It's like the algorithms are showing us what energy does, right? The more
Sounds like you're getting
negativity.
an algorithm right now of a ding, ding, ding.
Sorry. Hopefully it
Okay.
will block off that background noise for our listeners, but my son is requesting more screen time and it's coming through on my computer. It's notifying me. Um Anyways, yeah, it's funny how the algorithms are a reflection of energy, and what you click
Yeah.
on, you get more of, and what you think about, you
Yeah.
get more of, and whatnot.
Yep.
So I love
Yep.
it. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for
Thank you.
giving us that insightful talk. And you know what's so funny is you're just such a warm light of love. And I just feel your energy. And I know we all feel your energy. And it's so
Yours too.
interesting. Like your warmth is, and your pure white light is like allowing us to grow and feeding our souls. And we're just so blessed to have you
Thank
talk to
you.
us every week. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And
I'm so
yours as
glad you had a
well,
good
because I
birthday.
don't do this by myself.
Oh, I'm just the number one asker. But no, I've got a few things to say. Sure,
You
I'm not
have
gonna.
lots to give. Lots to give.
I am a valued member of this show. I have good, insightful information to offer, right?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. All right. Well,
Good.
everybody, I guess that is it for another wonderful show. And we will see you here next week.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.